Hey, everybody, this is Craig with Out on Film, and I'm excited today to be joined in conversation with Ryon Horne, who is the director of the short film The Dancer that is screening at Out on Film, both in theaters and streaming. Ryon, welcome to Out on Film.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, Ryon, you have directed this short film, The Dancer, that is about Gerard Alexander, the dancer. That was first featured in the Atlanta Journal Constitution in an article by Matt Kempner, which I read at the time, um, which was very moving.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about how you became involved in this project.
Sure. So I've worked at the Atlanta Journal Constitution for it'll be almost 24 years now, and I work as a multimedia journalist and filmmaker, and I do like a lot of short films, and usually they'll go with our investigative pieces. So whether it's like an investigative piece on doctors and sex abuse, an investigative piece on you know anything, but Matt Kempner, who worked with the Atlanta Journal Constitution for quite some time, longer than I have, he usually worked on a lot of business stories,
Right.
and he ended up working on this story when he visited a camp, a homeless camp in Atlanta, and people started telling him about this one gentleman who would talk about his past of being a dancer. And it was always this mystery to people because they were like, really, because some
Yeah.
people would say that, yeah, I used to
Sure.
be a
Yeah.
fireman and never,
Right.
did anything like. And so, of course, being the person who Matt is, he looked into it and found Gerard Alexander was very truthful in everything he talked about as being
Right.
a dancer. And so when Matt brought this story to Tyson and I, my brother Tyson Horne, who works at the newspaper as well, um, we were immediately struck by a couple things. One, just the idea of this story was just fascinating. Two, Michael Jackson's name was mentioned,
Right.
and once Michael Jackson's name is mentioned in anything, I gotta know more. And then
Okay.
three, we found out where um, Gerard was born, and he was born in the same city, small town in New Jersey that Tyson and I were born. And so
Okay.
we had to follow this up, and that's how we got into it. And we only had a couple months to really focus in on the story and travel and get interviews done, but we went fast speed into it.
So for people who have not seen the film yet or read Matt's piece,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just a tragedy,
Mm-hmm.
just a tragedy.
Yeah.
Someone who had just promise and talent and a career and winds up murdered in a homeless encampment in Atlanta. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
how does I mean, as you've kind of traced his life in the ways that you all have, how did we get here?
Yeah, I think it's one thing we didn't want to do, well, we didn't set out to do with the film was to do this expose on who murdered or
Right.
how Gerard was killed and stuff like that, because on the other side of this story is a very beautiful story,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful story of tragedy. It's like um when I walked to the encamp the homeless camp in Atlanta for the first time, you walk down these steps that are on the side of a highway in Atlanta in Buckhead, and you go down and these trees reveal like this beautiful area that you would never know existed in Atlanta, and it has a stream running through it, and it has these beautiful trees and the beautiful sounds of water running. But then as also it has these line of homeless camps, these tents and trash is all over the place. So it's this really only way that I could describe it was this beautiful tragedy. And that's what Gerard's life was like. It was this beautiful tragedy. Like he was everybody would say how beautiful he was when he would dance, and his figure and his face and everything about him was so perfect. And you know, but then inside there was things brewing, and there was trauma brewing, and there was a lot of things going on with him inside and mentally that kept him from really embracing the full potential of what his beauty was. And so that's what we wanted to kind of focus on, was the beautiful parts more so than just all of the tragedy, and so that's what we went for.
And so you find some beautiful footage of him performing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just beautiful performance pieces of him. And then the interviews with people. I mean, how did you approach them to talk about him, and how open were they to talk?
Oh, that was I have to admit that was all Matt Kempner. He he has such a patience and understanding, and he knows. I mean, this is a guy that's been doing this for years,
Right.
so he has that knowledge and experience to pull out things um and to really come approach people in a way that opens them up. He's not forceful. He's not like,
Right.
tell me this, and so he, over that span, he interviewed, I mean, I want to say, I think he interviewed well over 50 people. And you know but you have to understand how hard this story is to people,
Yeah.
where out of 50 people, only 5 people wanted to get in front of the camera.
Right.
And so that was one challenge part, was like, and we were lucky to have the people that spoke about Gerard who were so close to him, and who knew him. And so those were some of the challenges, that it was not a story people really wanted to talk about as far as the tragedy part. They wanted to
Right.
talk about the beauty part of Gerard, and Matt really did a great job of bringing that out of people, for sure.
And I think too, as you watch, as well as reading Matt's piece, all of which comes through, but particularly when you're watching the film that you all did, it is very emotional for the people who are speaking. I mean, they're deeply connected to
Mhm.
Gerard's story and their experience
Mhm.
with Gerard. Um, and you can tell it comes from a place of deep love for him and for his talent in combination. But one of the things that struck me in the filming of it, um, and putting this short together, is really, and what I appreciate is not just the beauty of his performance and talent, but really the humanity
Yeah.
of who Gerard was, as much as we could know him.
Yeah.
And so I think that's credit to all of you
Thank you.
in putting this together, just capturing the humanity of him.
Yeah. And
So
now,
talk a little bit about that approach that you take as you're
for sure.
filming and editing. And
For sure. That was the easy part, because of how people spoke about him. And it was easy for I say that it was easy for us because it was easy to pull those pieces together to show that, when you see the pictures of him smiling, or you see the gracefulness of his dance, and to be able to mirror that with how people described him and talked about
right.
him, was that was the easy part. And I wish, someone asked me before, is like, is there any like things that you wish you did or didn't do, stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing that I wish we did do that we didn't do, but I do wish we had Gerard's actual voice. Like, I
Yeah.
wish I wish we was able to hear him speak at some point. And so that was one of the things. But he wasn't it didn't seem like he was a man of a lot of words, because his feet and his body and his
Right.
dance spoke for him.
As you've kind of made this, you've had time to have it, to sit with it. What is it about Gerard that will stay with you?
There's a lot. The one thing that is very interesting, my aunt Jerry, I always I get goosebumps when I think about this. My aunt Jerry is Geraldine Horne. She is my father's oldest sister, and she saw the film. And when there's a part in the film where we show where Gerard grew up in Paterson, New
Mhm.
Jersey, and when we went to go shoot those B-roll scenes in New Jersey, as we were driving up, my brother Tyson was in the front seat, and he was on his phone, and he looked up, and he's like just kind of froze, and he realized, he said, yo, these are the apartments that I lived in when mom and dad, when like, these are the first apartments I remember living in. And I was like, really? He said, yeah, that was the building right there. And that's the playground. And that's and so he realized that he lived in these apartments that Gerard lived in. And then my Aunt Jerry, when she saw the film, she was like, yeah, I knew Gerard.
Oh
And
wow.
and she was like, I knew his dad and I knew his grandmother. And I was like, we were like, what? And so to know that, like, my brother or my parents or somebody in my family may have seen Gerard or spoken to him or spoken to his grandmother or spoken to his mom or dad, and back then, is really kind of the thing I think about a lot. And I like, man, just imagine, like, it just kind of, to see someone that I've never met have some type of connection to, me and my brother somehow,
Right.
is like really the thing that sits with me the most. And you could wish that things happen differently, but he came here for a reason. He did what he needed to do,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's what sticks with me the most.
And one of the things that struck me both in reading the piece and in watching the film, and it does make you kind of really question how we as a community
Yeah.
kind of fall down in,
Oh
in
yeah, for
helping
sure.
people. And we do, and there's no other way around it, that we just fall down. And what is your hope that as people see this in terms of services that we can provide, support that we
Sure.
provide, and the ways that we provide it? I think one of the things that you all did very well, um, is just how sometimes the help that we provide is not the help that people need.
Yeah. Um, Tracy, the social worker who worked with Gerard and getting him an apartment when he was homeless, um, she said in the interview that I don't think it made the cut, but she said in the interview, like, she would like more help from the city and so. So I
Right,
think the way that we could help is, being mindful of how we vote, being mindful of what our dollars go to help the homeless. Because here's the thing: we pass homeless people every single day in our life, every single day. And this film shows how we pass them and we drive over them.
over
We
them.
literally
Mhm.
we literally drive over them every single day. And we don't sometimes, like you said, it's not the help. We may be trying to give the help that we think they need, but it might not be the help that they need. So we just have to look for the opportunities in organizations and do our due diligence of seeing who they are and what they do, but looking for those opportunities to help in that way, to give them the resources they need to help people in need, and because we can't always do the, we're busy going through our lives. And so the other thing is just not having a mind of, you never know who you pass up, you never know who
Right,
you walk past, because we may have drove over Gerard every single day for years, and this is a man who traveled the entire world dancing
right.
and doing all these incredible things with his talent, and we drove over him. And so I just always think about, like, thinking, not being quick to judge, not being quick to diminish or dismiss people who are not like us, people
Right,
who don't believe the same things that we believe, or people who, it's like that, none of that stuff matters when it comes to just humanity, when it comes to just treating someone like a human being, period.
right.
And that's all that matters.
And I think that's one of the things that I think is strongest about this piece, is that you do show he was a person,
A person, right?
who literally leapt in front of us.
Yeah.
And one of the most popular
Yeah.
videos of us,
Right.
literally this man leaps in front of us,
Yep.
and will leap in front of us for all time.
For
I mean that
eternity, for eternity, because of
yeah,
how legendary it was.
yeah. I mean, and so I just think that's extraordinary to be able to to show not just his trajectory in the life, as it unfolded for him, um, but to really show that the people, like you said, literally that we
Yeah.
drive over, are people, and they have a story,
To tell.
and they have a purpose, and they've had a life.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I always look at this as a piece also. You know how you like you'll see commercials, or you'll see like films, or you'll see something and someone stands out forever, like you always think
Right.
about that person. So for me, when I said earlier how when Matt told me about the story and he said, yeah, I think Gerard is the one that wears the red Kango in Michael Jackson's Bad
Yeah.
Video, I knew exactly who he
Exactly
was
who he
talking
is.
about because I watched that video a
Yeah.
million times and I knew that he was the one that started that music video. Like it is
Same.
just amazing.
I First, when I read the piece, I'm like, I know exactly who that is.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
was like,
I know
and
exactly
that's
what
why
it is.
that's why I kept reading the piece.
Yeah.
That's why I kept reading the piece.
Yeah.
Um, so Ryan, I just want to thank you for joining us here at Out on Film, to
Absolutely.
bringing, Gerard's life to us, to experience in all of his humanity and beauty.
Yes.
So I think that people need to see this film just to see,
Yes.
the extraordinary talent,
Yeah.
and grace that this man possessed. And
Thank you.
so I want to thank you for joining us, and for bringing this story to our audience here in Atlanta.
Thank you. And let me just say real quick that I really appreciate, me personally, that Out on Film selected this story because of the connection and the symbolism and all the things that go together for the film festival and this film, and for it to be in Atlanta. You guys were the first ones to select this film to its festival, and I really appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, it's our pleasure, and thank you for allowing us to do it.
Thank you. All right,
All
see you
right.
later.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this conversation. Please check out The Dancer in theater and online. It is a beautiful experience and a life that you will appreciate. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.